Right, guys. Good evening. It's Wednesday, 7 o'clock, and it's packed at the minute. We've just had the event. We've had inner circle meeting yesterday. For those of you in the academy, will know what I mean by that. I'm fighting the sore throat big time now. I warned you about it last time, and even at the event, and it's starting to bite a bit now. So I'll have to keep stopping for a drink, and I'm going to try and keep it short tonight as well because it is on its way out. Excuse me. So, right, got my iPad here because I've got some notes to go through. So obviously Tom's going to join us shortly and just give you some updates. There's not a great deal different from the last time we spoke. So it's more the design service. Tom's going to come on and do some other bits, I'm sure. I don't exactly know what he's coming on to say, to be honest. So we're waiting for him to get on and give you the updates. So obviously, for those of you that know very well, we do this stream every 2 weeks. The KBBSS Services one and the Academy one is also every 2 weeks. So every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, you've got your Academy stream with your check-ins and more heavily coaching stuff. And then on this stream, we'll be focusing on lighter stuff. And then obviously your KBBSS Services updates with Tom. So some things I want to, there's a theme tonight. Again, I'm trying to put a little bit of a theme into the streams and the events, as you know. So one thing I want you to sort of take away from tonight, and it sort of come from the event and just life in general, really. Those of you that were at the event, there was quite a few of you there, obviously. 2026, a number of things that need to stop happening with tradespeople. One is you need to stop living in your own head, because again, a lot of people just live in their own head and tell themselves stories that aren't helpful. So the stories that you're telling yourself are true at the end of the day. So if you tell yourself, oh, it's not going to work because of this, or it's not going to work because of that, or I'm this or I'm that, and this is why the academy is so important, and this community as well, trade partners alike, is when you're hanging around with people that are trying to do the same thing, it happens. And that's why being engaged is so important, so you living in your own head. If you don't have influence from other people to help you think differently, you're just not going to think differently at the end of the day. So that's something I want you to sort of keep in your head a little bit, because we've seen some really good coaching sessions at the event on Friday. And a lot of it is just because people tell themselves stories. People say, they give reasons why they can't do things, and they're just not valid reasons at the end of the day. They're just either society norms, because you've got to bear in mind that most people around you aren't successful. So most of the opinions that you hear are just bullshit. They're just people that aren't successful giving you their fucking wisdom, and who wants that wisdom at the end of the day? So that's something for tradespeople who want to be successful in 2026 need to get out of quickly, because it isn't helpful. The other thing that I want to sort of bring into focus this evening for trade partners and academy members alike is, the KBB Supply Service is the digital trade account. We are the technology side of the industry. We are the app, the digital design service. We do provide different services to any other supplier or, buying group, whatever you want to call us. So, if you still operate in the old way, you're probably not making the money that you want, but there's people with us doing it the new way, making a lot more money. So, this gap with technology and AI, it's not even really bitten yet in our industry. It has in the world, but our industries are going to be a bit slow to catch up, as always. Now, this gap is going to get a lot bigger. So if you're still sat there being a technophobe, not wanting to learn things, not getting your head into the trade portal, because everyone has access to the trade portal, trade partners have the trade portal, academy members have the trade portal. And this is a basic piece of software. This is a basic quoting piece of software. And if you're, honestly, I'll just say it as it is, if you're going to be that ignorant that you're not going to learn to use even a basic piece of kit like that in 2026 and beyond, you are not going to be as successful as you think, because if you can't get your head around that, or you refuse to, is probably more accurate, because everybody can get their head around it. Don't matter whether you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or you've never touched a computer before. Them excuses are just not valid. You can learn to do anything at any point in your life. And again, that's just a story that people that you tell yourself. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to get your head out of that. you've got to get comfortable. Well, you got to get comfortable initially with being uncomfortable, doing stuff that you don't want to do, and learn things, learn the technology, learn what's going on. The people that you are surrounded by here know what they're doing. So when we put things in front of you, just try to trust us a bit. Try to trust that we're giving it you for the right reasons and learn it. Because I've got a note here. 2026 is upon us, and you got to get real in 2026. This is going to be the fastest year ever in business for AI and tech, and it will get faster and faster. By the way, this is going to be the fastest year yet, and that's a sort of a stock statement, because we're going to say the same thing next year, but it's true. But I think this is the one where you've gone from not knowing what it was to really knowing what it was, and then next year, if you're not using it by then, you're not doing stuff by then, it's a sort of a ticking time bomb for you, where you're going to be working for someone else again at some point, because other people are going to start taking over, and they're going to get in front of customers quicker than you. Like what we said at the event, increasing your touch points, making sure that you are having as many contact points with the customer as possible. Without technology, you're not doing that. You're just not doing that. And the people that are embracing technology, because there are more people embracing it. So if you're one of the ones not doing it, you're going to be like a lamb to the slaughter. Or do you want to be a lion on the prowl? What do you want to be here? The predator or the prey? Because either way, it's going that way, and you're not gonna be the exception to the rule. Now, you might sit there and go, "Oh, things aren't that bad," but this is about bettering yourself. Yes, there'll always be a rate that people pay for trades, because trades are in demand. AI can't take over those things. But the bit above that, the pricing jobs, the running jobs, subcontracting to your own teams and having that level of success, which isn't too far away from anybody, by the way. It's all in your head. That you're so close to that. Even if you're not an academy member, you're a few months away from that. If you joined, do you get what I mean? We've seen this loads of times. So you've really got to make decisions here, because I think if you sit idle for another year not doing these things, you're going to really struggle. So, as we've recently announced, we are now a Which partner. So, well, not KBB Supply Services, but the academy side of the business is a Which partner. And that is a massive deal. That adds so much credibility into what we're doing and to our members. So if you want to find out more about that, go to kbbacademy.co.uk. Go and have a look at the new website. Make sure that you're familiarizing yourself with what the academy is now actually about. We haven't launched the website properly yet to everyone. We've not put any press release out. We've not put any social media post out yet about us being a Which partner. We've literally only announced it on Friday at the event and made the website live. They're the only steps we've taken so far, and we're doing it slowly on purpose, because we want it to be controlled. We don't want an influx of interest or new members. We want to keep it sensible and make sure that we retain the quality of what the academy is supposed to be about. This isn't about now signing up loads of people, but it's pretty obvious that people are going to look at it now and go, well, actually, it's been a couple of guys and their team sort of banging on about this new way to work in the industry for a few years. That's now been proven to be correct, because there's loads of people doing it, loads of people having successes never had before. The trade count we've created, the digital trade account, has been a success because loads of people using that. So although it's still in its infancy in some ways, it's now got a lot of credibility and a lot of, well, basically it can't be ignored anymore, and it certainly can't be laughed at. It certainly can't be looked at as, oh, that'll be gone in 5 minutes. It's not a flash in the pan. We're past the flash in the pan stage. It's been a good few years now that we've been at this, and it's going to start building momentum. So it would be good to have as many people as we can in our movement and make sure that we're building the army to try and take on the bigger companies, because that's what we're going to do, with or without you. That's the key thing. You'll either be on the team or not on the team. But I guarantee you, the most successful business people in this industry will be KBB Academy members over the next decade. That is an absolute guarantee. And to be fair, with the data segment we've already got, it's already true. because they already earn more than anybody else anyway. So now this ecosystem is coming, is maturing, should we say, with the Which partnership. We've now launched our Inner Circle and Gold, which I've mentioned before. Inner Circle is basically when you're a silver member, so basically an academy member that's doing okay. There's a few bits. Obviously, we keep an eye on you. Once we see that your business is moving, basically, you get invited to Inner Circle. We tighten up your systems and processes. And then once we're happy that you're using everything properly, we basically give you your gold standard accreditation badge, which is going to be a huge boost to your credibility. And eventually, when there's enough people doing it, consumers will also see that gold badge actually means something, and that will help your conversion rate. That will help you get new customers, etc., etc., etc. So the ecosystem for the academy is really clear, or it will be getting clearer over the coming months. The new supply services website is on its way as well, where there's going to be a new KBB University. So although we're pushing, our sort of community in the academy, we're not ignoring the trade partners that want to use the university as well, and the free educational videos in there, because everyone starts somewhere, and a lot of the people excuse me, told you it was going a lot of the people in the academy now that have done really well will remember the days of using KBB University. Some won't, some just go straight into the academy, but the ones that were here at the beginning, most of them will remember watching KBB University videos. So there is definitely a place for it, especially when you are so early on in your journey. So watch out for that. If you're not in the academy yet, we're not ignoring, because all right, we want to create a community. We want to build a commercial enterprise through the academy that's strong enough to, see us through for the next few years. Obviously, we need to make money to do that. We need profit to reinvest back into it. And, I like to reinvest because that's what keeps the business moving. But don't ever lose sight of the fact that our mission here is to help everybody that we can, and the university is a cost of ours that we don't get any return for. It's just something that we're doing because it's the right thing to do. And again, lots of people have won the first job, in the university. There's so many people have joined the academy and said, I watched all the university videos and I won a job, and then when I won that job, I joined the academy. And it was, we hear this is not isolated comment. This has happened a few times. So again, we want to help as many people as we can. And remember that the university also, the academy does have the beginner package, which is only £65 a month. Not that you want to stay on that forever, but if you want to just see what it's all about at a low cost, low risk, which it is anyway, but 65 quid's like, nothing, is it? When you think about it. Right, cool. So that's sort of where we're up to. We had the event Friday. We've launched. The ecosystem is now finished. There's a lot of upgrades and stuff coming through down the tracks. So what I want to sort of get onto next is a little segment on sort of your direction, let's just say, right? Okay. And like I've said to you before, I said this at the event as well. If you keep positioning yourself as a sole trader, you're going to always be a sole trader. Now, you want to be, even if you're in an academy or not, you want to be positioning yourself as an independent. Yeah. So the difference, there's a big difference here between a sole trader and an independent. An independent is someone who provides the full end-to-end service with brochures, uses a KBB trade account or something like that. And the customer sees that you are doing something more than just fitting. That is what an independent retailer is. Now, you might say, well, you need to have a showroom to be regarded as that. No, you don't. It's how the customer sees you. If you've got a website, reviews, all that type of stuff, you're an independent entity. You're your own brand at the end of the day. But when you're a sole trader and you've not got a signed written van, you haven't got a website, you haven't got a sales process, that's when you're a sole trader. And I think it's important to distinguish the difference here. That where do you want to be? Do you want to be the lamb lining up, to be slaughtered, or the lions that are having the feast? Do you know what I mean? It's like you've got to start thinking here. If you're not earning the money that you want, but you're not sort of doing all the things that you should be doing, and obviously that's why. So last time we spoke, I said, 2 weeks ago on this stream, I said it's time to stop thinking small and prioritizing costs over value. said 2026 is where value needs to be understood, or the future is bleak. This week, you must know your numbers, because again, leading into value and cost, which I'm going on a lot about at the moment, mainly because it's the start of the new year. You will notice, if you stick around for long enough, that I do have similar messages around each time of the year. So towards the end of the year, obviously we always talk about getting ready for next year, making sure that you've got any gaps in your processes or your business filled in as soon as you can. So when you hit the new year, you are ready to go. When we hit the new year, like now, it's time to check our numbers, make sure we're revisiting our numbers, make sure we're looking at costs on our jobs, and making sure that we're charging based on value and not just those costs. Because if you don't make proper profit, as I keep saying to the academy guys, it's a ticking time bomb. We had an inner circle meeting yesterday with 8 to 10 more advanced members. Now, more advanced doesn't mean loads of sales. More advanced means their mind is moving in the right direction. That's what I'm looking for with people. I'm not looking for people that are doing loads of jobs. I'm looking for people that are developing as business people, and that is what's important. But something that came out yesterday, and I think he sort of worried the room a little bit, is I said to him, if you don't build, but when your business starts to move especially, if you don't build some profit in somewhere and have that to one side, at least like a 1 month overhead buffer, something like that, then when that month comes along where there's a family disaster or something happens, you're going to have a massive problem. And this is where you're going to think back, and I don't want this to happen to people, but I know statistically it will, at some point, is that someone would sit there in a really bad place in life and remember all the times that they heard me say to check the numbers, to check the profit, and they didn't listen. And they'd be sat there going, if I'd have done that, I wouldn't be sat here stressing now. I'd be able to just get through this. And yes, I'd lose some money, but the money would be there to be lost at the end of the day. You're always going to lose some money at some point. And if you can't afford to lose money, right, if you can't afford to lose money right now, you're basically not profitable. You're not operating at a profit position. And this is dangerous. And especially moving forward, this is where you're going to get sucked into someone else's business if you're not careful. And especially if you've got ambitions to run your own. So making sure that you are taking a moment this week to check your numbers is really, really important. Okay. Make sure that everything you touch has got profit attached to it. So something that I want to talk about just very quickly as well about the academy moving in is if you're not in there yet as a trade partner, obviously this is the KB's Power Services stream. So if you're watching this as a trade partner and you're not yet in the academy and you want to do it, I would do it soon, because we're going to make it an application process shortly. At the minute, you can just join the academy and we don't really stop people, but obviously not everyone makes it anyway. But the point being is that we are tightening up the reins on applications. So you need to get in touch, basically, if you want to do that. I just want to reinforce that now that you know that that's coming. So if you've got discovery calls booked, if you've got anything you're bubbling away, if you're in a discovery group or something like that and you've not pressed the button yet, I would do it soon, because I'll be making that change shortly, and it will be a bit more stringent on getting in. So just don't sit on it, basically. Okay, so remember what I've said tonight about the numbers. So what I'd like you all to do, trade partners or academy members, doesn't matter. This is one thing you must do. And we had a session with someone on Friday at the event, and we talked about this. And the predicament was they're booked up till God knows when with work that isn't all profitable, and they're worried that they're doing loads of work. They're going to waste basically another half of a year doing work that isn't profitable. So like some people, it's funny, like tradespeople, when I'm coaching people and they like to throw comments at me like, oh yeah, I'm booked up for 6 months. It doesn't mean anything. It's not impressive. It means nothing. And to be honest with you, someone who's booked up for more than 12 weeks, I'm sort of looking at it going, you've got problems potentially coming down the track, because I never liked being booked up more than 12 weeks. 8 to 10 weeks is the sweet spot, because you can take on new jobs at higher profit You can get customers in within a reasonable time. Do you get what I mean? If your lead-in time is going ridiculous, like 5-6 months, and I've been there, don't get me wrong, but it's not helpful. But the thing is, when I was there, the jobs were profitable. They were making money. So it's not like I was sat there thinking, shit, I've got 6 months of jobs that just don't make money. And I think the problem is with some people is they sat there with loads of work booked in that is just paying wages. It's just paying wages, and that's not really what you're here for, is it? You're not here just to earn a standard wage. Why would you earn just a standard wage in this industry when there's a skills shortage? There's every reason under the sun to earn more money, and customers want to pay. They'll happily pay Wren and Howdens. Why wouldn't they pay you? And I think this I just find it so frustrating that we still have to have this conversation sometimes, that being booked up for months in front isn't a badge of honor. Especially if it's if it's work that's not profitable, it's a badge of stupidity. Not a badge of honor. So what you need to do, this would be what I would do anyway. Excuse me. So do not touch one piece of work with no profit attached to it. Set your rates. So what we need to do is we need to set our rates, make sure we've got what we would pay ourselves or someone else, and mark those rates up. Yeah, generally about 30%. So if you're touching work that doesn't have profit attached to it, then you're asking for it. You are asking for trouble. And most of you are getting it. Let's face it. Most of you are not driving the van you want, not living in the house you want, not going on the holidays you want, not actually living the life you really, really want. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be. There's no reason why you shouldn't be. You're not doing all those things because there's something's wrong somewhere. You just, like, what did I say at the beginning? The stories you tell yourself, oh, this isn't for me, that's not for me, I'm not this, I'm not that. I can't get my head around technology, I'm too busy, and but you've got time for other things, and it's like, this is it, and this is the sad thing that we've got to try and draw a line under. And this is applicable to all Academy members as well, because just because you're in the Academy don't make you immune from this. Some of you guys are the worst ones that get in the Academy, get a little bit in there, and then go, oh, then the excuses, the excitement, what do we say? The 5 stages, which I'm not going to go into now, but you get the the optimism stage, the informed pessimism, then you get the valley of despair, then you come out the other side, and it does take time. This is an emotional journey that you need to go on, but you need to stay in control of your own mind, and getting back in control of your own mind is part of that, is getting in control of your numbers. Because when you look at your numbers and go, fucking hell, you've heard me say it before, if you can't explain it in numbers, you don't really understand it. If you can't mathematically explain something, you don't understand it. It's as simple as that. So again, if you can't look at a job straight off the bat and go, that's not making money, if you don't know that, and if you don't know, if you can't right now look back at your last however many jobs, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and be able to know exactly what profit you made on them jobs, you're flying blind. You're flying absolutely blind. And it's ignorance at the end of the day, because you should be making profit. So why would you not make sure that those numbers are known to you if they're so important? And they're so important as well. And these are all the paradoxes that are so frustrating, that everyone knows this, and they just don't put the time and effort into it. They're just ignorant, and then yeah. So anyway, let's get to some practical. What can you actually do? Don't touch a job unless there's profit attached to it. If you can't look forward into the next 6 months and go, right, that these jobs don't have profit attached to them, then you need to start cancelling some of them jobs. Basically, learn how to price properly and add your margins on. Do it properly and start getting rid of some of them jobs. So, the customer go, I'm really sorry, I can't do it, and but my reputation will suffer. Believe me, there'll be someone else that's willing to work for wages that will do it. Trust me, their life will not end, right? Then this is where, again, you need to get out your own head. Like, they're not going to destroy you. It's like, really sorry. If it's 2-3 months in front, it's fine to call work off. They've got loads of time to find someone else. and this is your life, and you can't afford to waste another 2026 and nearly half a year doing shit that doesn't get you where you need to be. It doesn't give you the profit to invest back into yourself and your business. If you don't have that money, you're not improving, you're not moving forward, and it's as simple as that. So set your rates, know before every job starts what it's making, and then after the job, know what it actually made. You must get them two numbers next to each other. So when you're closing your jobs down, you must understand, right, that job should have made $3,000, right? So after the job, so those in Academy Plus will have the project management tools where you can get the invoice amount. Obviously, you should know your profit from working out on your quote, and then you drag that into the Monday.com dashboards that we give you, and then you just put all your costs in there. So at the end of that job, right, I said I was going to make $3,000. What did I actually make? I made 2,800. That's not too bad, but where did we lose the 200 quid? Or I made $2,000. Fucking hell, where's the £1,000 gone? So next time you look at it and go, well, did I need to price that in? Did I fuck something up? And if you've missed something out, next time, but now I need to go again. And this is why, and it'll take a year or two it'll take a year or two of doing that to get your pricing exactly perfect. And even then there'll be the odd hiccup. But at the minute, if you haven't got that visibility, you just don't know, do you? And this is the thing, and this is where, people can't afford to, invest into the business. There's people like we have Academy Plus, which is by far the best thing we've ever done in the Academy. It has loads of helpful tools in there. The way that it optimizes the guys' websites and helps them produce new content when they send us case studies and stuff like that. It's just amazing what it's done for people's businesses. It's literally removed all other marketing costs for like £175 a month when used properly. That is, when you're sending us the case studies and you're getting your 5-star reviews, and you're doing your social media, and we're doing the stuff with the Academy Plus, and then you're using the Academy Plus tools. That's having a massive upgrade as well over the next few months. But these things are, people say, oh, I haven't got the 175 quid a month to join the Academy Plus, and it's like the people that say that are the same ones that have just done exactly what I've said. They don't know the numbers, so they don't know if they can afford it or they can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? So and at the end of the day, if you're fitting kitchens and bathrooms and you're pricing properly, £175 a month is fuck all. It's fuck all. So again, one, it's probably not true. You probably can afford it, or they're just pricing so incorrectly that maybe they can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? But this is where I'm seeing that £175 a month plus VAT to get all of that should just be like, oh my God, that's just a no-brainer. Like, and the guys that are in it never once have whinged about how much it costs, because it's ridiculous anyway. It's worth closer to £1,000 a month, really. Do you know what I mean? So, but again, this is the symptoms of people that don't price properly and they don't have the money to invest in the business. So they don't move forward because they're not going to do the stuff that needs to be done themselves because they make excuses not to do it. They don't get someone else to do it because they don't price properly, so they can't afford to, or they think they can't afford to. Do you see how this vicious cycle just continues and continues and continues? And this is why we end up on the tools forever, working for people forever that we don't want to forever, and things just don't move forward. So, get out your own way, get out your own head, get your pricing sorted out, get your profit in, invest into your business and start moving it forward. And even if it's whatever your business is, whether it's your academy business or you're just a sole trader and you think, you know what, I'm not going to join the academy, but I could make more money. I could do other things. I'm still probably underselling myself a little bit here. And that's what we're about. Yes, we want you to do well. In or out of the academy. The academy is fantastic. There's nothing like it. But we do know that there's trade partners that do okay already with sales. They were doing okay before we came on the scene. So, good luck to them. And, there's no point in joining the academy if you don't need it. But, for those that are new to it, the academy has been a revelation. And, even some people that were already moving in business have joined the academy. And the academy, if you've got a good business and you join the academy, the common thing that normally happens is your business just gets better because there's other things, there's better, there's coaching, there's tools and all the rest of it. And we see everything. So on the academy, while we're talking about that, obviously, the next event, so I know we've only just had one, but one for your diaries, because we do get asked this like further and further out each time, and the events are getting busier and busier. And obviously at the next event, we've got a lot more to talk about. I did like at the event, what I did like was us sending you the questions the night before, because it gave me a chance to read some of them. So just bear in mind that at events from now on, you will get your question or challenge sent out to you, the question in the group the night before, because I think those of you that were there will agree. There was a couple of sessions that really hit everyone hard, emotionally. There was a couple of not tough, but I think that the sessions, I know those that were there will remember. I'm not going to go through them now for those that weren't. It was just raw, wasn't it? And I think that in all I think when things resonate with you, it's not just because of that person and what you witness in the room at that moment. I think there were some powerful moments on Friday, and I feel like they were deeper than we've ever had at events before. They really were, and I think that it helps solidify the community. But when people are having sessions like that and they ask honest questions, you see yourself in those people, and we see ourselves in these vulnerabilities. Do you know what I mean? Because I've had quite a lot of comments since Friday, even on the night. The guys from Which that came as well, even they messaged me on Friday and said them sessions were really good, like really good. You can see the benefit of this to people. But it's not about how I handled the session. What really matters is the people are honest enough to come into the room, and keep trying. People with difficulties and people with, stories in the head that aren't helpful, basically, and are not easy to deal with. But when they come into a room full of people like that and they lay it out, I think this is where, the community is powerful, because if you're honest with me and you're honest with the community, you'll get back what the answers are. If you come in and you clam up and you don't open up and you refuse to communicate and you don't engage, you're continuing to live in your own head. And what I've said tonight is about not living in your own head. It's get it out. Talk about things. Whoever, it might not be us you need to speak to, but you need to speak to someone if you've got something bubbling away. If you haven't got that fire and that clarity on what you're doing and why you're doing it, then there's the conversation you need to have with somebody somewhere, 100%, because we should all be very clear on what we're doing. And that's, I think, why I can self-regulate really well most of the time, is because I'm really clear on what I'm doing. And because I just say things without caring too much about what other people are going to feel, because I always say things with the right intentions anyway. Whether it lands like that or not is another thing, but I'm willing to hurt people's feelings to move forward in business. Does that make sense? I don't sit there worrying if they're going to be hurt over what I say. If it's something I feel at the time, I'm just going to say it. If I make a mistake, I'll apologise. But I think everyone gets the gist that I always say things with the right intentions. And I think when people are honest with themselves, with us, with the community at events, they get proper feedback, they get proper coaching, they get the truth. And that's what we're after. We're after the truth. We're not after the bullshit. We're not after the excuses. We're not after I'm booked up for 6 months and me pat you on the back and go, well done, mate. Let's fist pump. No, I'm not going to fucking fist pump you. Because that's not an achievement. You're telling yourself a story out loud to try and get me to validate something, and I'm not going to. And I'm not saying everyone does that, but I'm just using that as an example. I think, but we do this. People come to me, like when some people speak to Lee, and Lee might say to you sometimes, well, would you say this to Aaron? And we said at the event on Friday, like I said to you, from now on, just think to yourself, what would Aaron say? What would Aaron do? Because you already know half of the time what it would be that I would say. So the longer you live in your own head, telling yourself your own bullshit without stopping to go, what would Aaron say? What would he do? If I was at an event right now, what feedback would I be getting in front of that room? Put yourself in that situation mentally, and then come back and then listen to your own bullshit and go, how different do I think that response would be to the thing I'm telling myself? And the answer is very, very significant difference. Do you get what I mean? So you need to start self-regulating a little bit, and there's a little tip on how to do it. So the events are getting hot, as you would imagine. Obviously, at the next one, we're going to have gold members at that event. We're going to be having some sort of presentation to those guys who have achieved that. And obviously, as always at events, I don't want to spend ages on it at each event, but I do want to encourage people to move forward in their journey, and we'll always use the events to get people moving forward. So the next one for your diaries is the 17th of April. So yeah, 17th of April, stick that in your diary. There won't be we won't be sending the tickets out to anytime soon, but I think what we'll do is there was a few people, there was a few dropouts on Friday, so I don't know if we're doing it a bit too early. But some people that weren't there, they were all pretty genuine reasons, to be honest. There was a few people that were just, flaky anyway. So, and the business reflects that, and I'll just be fucking straight, to be honest with you. The people that sort of flake out of events, and, you don't need to send us a message like, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't make it, all the rest of it. If you're not coming, you're not coming. At the end of the day, it's your business. That event is for your benefit. It's not for fucking my benefit. Do you know what I mean? It's for you to come and spend the day with like-minded people. If you want to miss out on that, you don't need to apologize to me. I don't give a shit if I walk through that door and there's 10 people in the room, because I'll just focus on them 10 people. Do you get what I'm saying? And if there's 100 people in the room, I'll focus on them 100 people. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to be there, but don't think like it's just, oh, our league are going to be mad with me if we don't come. No, there are signs that the people that don't bother are genuinely not as successful. Some people genuinely can't make it sometimes, but then there's some daft excuses, and it's like we get these messages, it's just not needed. It's just like, if you're not coming, you're not coming. And I think the people that do come, it's funny how the people that do come are the most successful people. It's very rare that the top academy members practically come to every event. I can't think of anyone who's up there and doesn't come. It's really a telling signal that because it's 4 times a year. It's not like every 2 weeks, it's every 3 months. And if we can't be organized enough to hit one day every 3 months, then there's another problem in itself. If your jobs aren't organized enough, where there's a problem on the job, and you've not yet got to a point in your business where you can avoid that, then that's a sign that you need to do some more work on whatever skills you're lacking. Because having one day off, and half of the time it's just having the conversation with the customer. Some people are just afraid to have the conversation with the customer and say, look, I'm not going to be there Friday. Well, we've got this really important thing to do on Friday. I just, it's just crazy. I just think it's nuts. If it was me, I'd have gone to the event on Friday and just gone in on the fucking Saturday or something. I wouldn't be missing these events, because I know how important they are. But anyway, that is what it is. So 17th of April, put it in your diary. I think we'll send it out closer to the event this time, probably right at the end of March. So we get people that are actually organised, that are actually going to turn up and whatnot. The events are still free, but the irritation is that people waste tickets, and then there's other people that don't come because the tickets say they're sold out. So if it continues at the next event, there will be something that has to change with the ticketing system, because it's not fair, because people didn't come on Friday because there weren't any tickets left, because we don't really want to fill that room anymore. Those who were there Friday can see that it's sort of, all right, you could get a few more in, but it gets really difficult to get round the room and do the coaching if there's way more people in there. And I know we've got a better format now, but anyway, these are all things being discussed anyway. But the tickets being free, and the trust is that if you're going to cancel the ticket, go on to the Eventbrite and cancel it. You don't need to message us to say you're not coming. It's so much more helpful if you just say, I'm cancelling it, I'm just going to go on Eventbrite and cancel the ticket. People leave the tickets booked, and it's just really irritating, basically. So, and other members are missing out as a result, which is really not acceptable. So please, moving forward, will you be honourable in you're booking a ticket, turn up, and if you're not going to turn up, don't just WhatsApp us, book back into the system and unbook it, cancel it properly, because it's rude, really. That's where I'm going with it. It's rude, because someone else could have had a life-changing day, and you've stopped them from having that. If you are not turning up and just not turning up, it's just rude. We're not a big enough community where things like that should be tolerated. So 17th of April, that's when it is. Gold members will be announced. Who's it for? Members looking, obviously, this is the other thing, members looking to be paid the most and regarded as the best in their area. That's what the academy is now becoming. Paid the most, regarded as the best. Okay? So, yeah, so like I said, look out for the ticket announcements probably in March, towards the end, where there will be some sort of changes in the ticketing system, so we can make sure that only people that are genuinely coming actually still hold reservations for tickets. We're not going to start charging for the tickets, but we have thought about it, because, not a lot, but just something that makes people stop and think, but then maybe refund it later. But that's just an administrative pain in the ass. What I'd rather do is just have people that stick to things they agree to. If you say you're coming to an event, turn up or cancel your ticket, please. Okay, so sorry to whinge about that, but it is just like a little bit annoying, when there's new members, especially coming into the academy. So, and again, I just want to go back to this point. If you book your ticket 6 to 8 weeks out, right, before the event, great. You have got one of the first ones, right, great. But then you don't come. In that 6 to 8 weeks, there are new members that join the academy, right? And if you don't turn up, they've lost the chance to come to their first ever event. Do you understand what I mean? So just think the damage that does to people when it's a wasted seat, and all the rest of it, and how selfish that is. And I know it sounds I'm getting on about it, but I think it's not something as a community. I was speaking to Lee about this anyway, because again, as you can tell, it's just hot off the press annoyance that I'm trying to vent in the nicest and most respectful way. Okay, so we've talked about the change in the academy for quite a bit. Obviously, we're fresh off the back of an event. Again, the gold standard is now something that everybody should be aiming to, and it's not difficult. It's just about making basic progress. It isn't. It's not very difficult to get to gold at all. It's just about keeping going, just staying committed, staying engaged, keep going, keep moving, and eventually you'll just land there. It's not something that you think, oh God, I've got a new mountain to climb now. No, it's the same mountain. It's just that when you get to a certain point in that mountain, you'll just get your badge. It's not like there's a new peak to get up. It's just recognition for progressing in the academy. It's not new stuff. Some of it's new in the inner circle, but it's a few videos. It's basic shit that we ask you to do in the inner circle, really, and just sort of tightening up your numbers and stuff that's going on in your business, just to protect you and the consumer. That's it. It's not difficult at all. So just a few more updates that are coming. So pricing in step 3 has been added. We spoke about this last week. So again, I've banged on about money, pricing, all that stuff tonight. So step 3, adding your prices into the portal, is now live. So now you've got no excuse to get your own pricing in the portal, to make sure you're making profit all the time. As I've just mentioned, there's lots of advanced coaching in a circle. So although there's not much more new actions in Inner Circle, I do open up more advanced coaching. So in terms of just higher level thinking, better level thinking, and the meeting we had yesterday gave me a few more ideas of things that I'll add in there as well, which are really exciting. So it's just like the 12 steps is like the foundation level. And then Inner Circle just sort of takes it up a little bit. It sort of revisits some of the things in the 12 steps and just gives you a little bit more, just to give you that next bit, just that next bit of progress that you need, obviously, to push your business to the next level, okay? Lots of KB Academy Plus tools on the way, and there's going to be some updates to the Witch lessons and the KB Academy lessons in the 12 steps as they currently stand, okay? Right, so I've gone on for a bit there. Obviously, we're at a very busy time of the Academy, though, and KB Spy Services. So, again, without further ado, I've spent a lot longer on this than I wanted to be honest. My throat is not thanking me for it, but I feel like we need a bit of a reset after the event. We need to sort of know when the next one is. We need to get to grips with a few things moving forward for this year financially, making sure that you're pricing properly, all this type of stuff. You can't... It's going to be bloody February soon, isn't it? It's flying again. So please, please, please don't just sit here looking. This isn't for entertainment purposes. We're trying to educate you and change your life, okay? Right, so without further ado, let's bring into the room the man himself, Tom. How's the fame been since the last stream? It comes around quick as well, doesn't it?
It has come around quick. I was just thinking that. It's been a busy couple of weeks, I can tell you that much. I don't know what it was about that last live event, but it's really catapulted the design side. It's been hectic. Not necessarily just always in the submissions, but in calls and everything else. You just, like you say, the fame, it just gets to you.
Well, let's try and get your ego under control for 20 minutes while we have this call. Yeah. Right, back cool. So where are we starting, mate? Pardon?
So we'll cover obviously some of the new products and catalogs that are coming in. So I think I discussed 2 weeks ago about the new catalogs going live. They are now live. There will be a little bit of teething issues because it's a big change going from the old one to the new one. So I've already had a few people contact me about some tweaks. Again, just let us know. We'll adjust those as we're going through. One thing to be aware of for the guys is there is a standard catalogue and a rigid catalogue. So make sure if you are pricing a rigid kitchen, you pick the rigid catalogue. And if you are unsure about how to do that, just get in touch and we can obviously help.
Is this in the trade portal, this?
This is in the trade portal, yes, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, so the catalogue's in the trade portal.
And then the other thing is obviously the Quadra product coming in. I think 2 weeks ago I'd said February. I think there's still some issues with the manufacturer in the factory. This is the replacement for Linear, just to make people confident in it. The Linear will run until the Quadra is live, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. And in terms of pricing, the designers will price in the Quadra range if you're wanting Linear, but the price is the same. It's nothing to worry about. They're both MFC cutting-edge products. There's nothing really to worry about there. But current estimates are end of Feb, start of March is when orders will be able to go live. It's a made-to-order range, so I'm estimating towards the end of March is when that'll start sort of rolling into people's houses.
So that's fine, isn't it? That leading time's fine for selling it now.
Yeah, and like I say, the Linear is going to cover us all the way up until that goes live, so I don't think it's too much to worry about, hopefully. I know in the future, obviously, a few people expressed that they felt like they were a bit late to this knowledge, but trust me, in the future, we'll try and get them a bit more foresight. Some of these things are tricky. Like I said, this was actually meant to go live in October, but we just had delays. It's just not been as smooth as we would have liked it to be. But like I say, we're going to maintain the product until it goes live, so there shouldn't be any issues transitioning across. And there are colours in the Quadra that are comparable to the Linear, so it should be quite seamless for the customers as well. Other than that, it's just the new design process that we'll run through later, but that's sort of the new stuff coming out. There is one discontinuation just to be aware of, which is the Noto on the bedroom side. Just be aware of that. I think we've only had a handful of quotes that have been in it, and the design's obviously been navigating around that for the guys that need it. There are comparable ranges. If you were already surveying a kitchen that was in Noto, you were planning on using it, just get in touch and we'll help you out and get you to the right place.
Okay. Cool. Next.
So, design process. This is the biggie for this week.
Yeah.
We've changed a lot. I mean, the hand was forced a little bit at the start of the year by WhatsApp, but I think it's been a positive change. Sometimes you got to break things to make them better, right?
Yeah.
So rather than sitting acceptable, we're striving for greatness. We're going to break it and rebuild it. So the new design process, we're looking to follow a bit more of an Amazon model, which I think will be great for the guys. So it's consistent live, updates. So you order something from Amazon, you get told when it's turning up, regular updates throughout the process and when it's going to arrive, etc. We're going to follow a similar sort of model. When you submit a design, you're going to get a little message saying your design's with us. When it gets submitted to the designer, you get an update saying this designer's got it, here's your lead time. And when the designer's working on it, you'll get a little update, and all of those will be an automated process as it sort of runs through. So there's complete clarity from your point of view of where you are in the process, which means you don't have to send messages. You just see those sort of updates come through. Those are currently manual, but over the next couple of weeks, we'll sort of automate that out. So just expect it to only get better as we progress through with it.
Good.
And the addition to that is obviously the design hub. Anyone who's submitted designs in the past week will probably have already seen that. So we're doing away with a WhatsApp group, which is how it was previously received. It was good. It was good for managing the project, but there were issues where you were scrolling through WhatsApp groups to try and find what you were talking about however long ago. What we're doing is every customer will get a Google Drive. That'll be their design hub. And going forward, all of the designs for all of the quotes will all be stored in there. So between ourselves and whoever we're working with, we'll all have complete clarity as we are definitely looking at the same things. You haven't got a different one saved on your computer to what we're looking at in front of us. Then that's for the designs and quotes, and that we're referring to as a design hub. That's for everything. It should be a doddle for people and make it really clear for them for what we're working on, and all of your updates, etc., will go through there. I think people have liked it so far, and I can't see it being a downside really in terms of managing the projects through.
Yeah. No, I think it's better having a Google Drive because it's centralized for later on. Because you got to think about, especially the more advanced members that are doing more, for case studies and marketing down the line. It's really handy. Because something we're bringing out as well is like customer videos at the end of the job. So I think that this will be obviously a lot easier to do when we've got a central place where all the jobs have been stored.
Yeah, and obviously the guys can utilize the space as well for those things. Guess what? We'll create folders for your design through the process. Why not use it as the same location for storing information about the job going forward? At the end of the job, put your video in there, and then they have complete clarity of where everything is to do with that job. It's not just stored on a computer somewhere, hoping that someone else knows exactly the same thing you're looking at. We're all singing from the same sheet, right?
Yeah. Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah, and like I say, it's currently a little manual, but it's only going to get better with time as we sort of refine it out.
So is there anything else anyone needs to know about the design service at this moment, or is it just that we're going to keep updating them as things?
No, in terms of like the quality of the designs, the speed of the designs, etc., we're obviously striving for the same. Obviously, I think 2 weeks ago I'd said we'd probably be in a better place, but the guys have then proceeded to, a record-breaking week of submissions to challenge me on that. They really wanted to try and break the design service on the back of the Christmas break. I think some people had an extra week holiday and then saved them all for that week. I think we had, like last week, 40-something submissions over a space of a few days. They really wanted to break the system. So we're still reporting 72 hours. I'm feeling pretty good about that, given the amount of stuff that we've had coming through. And I'm sure a few of the guys have had a few of my designs because I've mucked in. You're never above it. I'm happy to muck in and help the team. Just forgive me, I'm not quite as good at designing as Arthur and Luke. Those guys are experts. But we're managing it through, and it's 72 hours right now. But I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. That's not another challenge to try and break the design team again. As much as we love seeing all these submissions, it is tough going. But
it's not slowing down, mate. It's not slowing down. I'll tell you that.
I am expecting a big month in February from the guys. We've got quite a lot coming through. It'd be really good to see a lot of sales come through on the back of it. There's a lot of good work in there as well. I know some guys have been submitting like 8 submissions through in one go. They've clearly been, starting 2026 off strong.
Yeah, and I think that just the obviously the growth of the academy in itself and the guys being more successful is obviously starting to bite as well as in their journey and ours. So yeah, it's all good, fantastic. So where are we at with like design lead times? And you've mentioned that, haven't you?
We're still at 72 hours, but we are doing overtime. We're working extra to try and meet that day. I looked at the average, and it is actually averaging about 48. We're saying 72 a little cautiously, so just give us up to 72. We're probably actually more like 48 at the moment, and we're doing overtime to obviously make sure that they're hitting their criticals in terms of delivery back to the customers. Cool. We'll continue to bring that number down for them as well.
Yeah, no worries. Right, move on to the next one. What's next on the agenda?
So obviously we like to do this segment is cover a few bits and pieces about, what helps designers, what hurts them, where can we meet in the middle, sort of points of reflection. And I think that a lot of people liked that segment last time, understanding how they can help the designers, because I think inadvertently it helps themselves. And what I'd like to cover is, I know last week we covered photos, but one of the key points was the Loom videos, I think is a real separator between a good submission and a great submission. So a lot what I look for in a submission and how I'm internally scoring the quality of these submissions is on things like that. So the way I like to think about it with a Loom video is much like The photos gave us the context of the space for the designers. That's what we discussed 2 weeks ago. The Loom video is a bit more conversational. So if you equate it to a phone call versus a text message, guess what? A phone call, you can bring out like a lot of like inflection about the design, the design, the context, what the sort of customers like. You can talk your way around the design. And trust me, as a person who does a lot of Loom videos talking over designs, when you're talking around that design, you'll spot something and you go, I wish I'd thought about that. So it gives you a real good point to reflect on what you're presenting to us and the opportunity to tweak those things before you're going through it. It's very easy to scribble down a survey, write up a quick note, fire it across, and not reflect on what you've done. Much like the designers at the start or the end of the day might have better or worse quality of work just because we're human and we run out of steam. The same for the surveys. If you crammed 8 surveys into a day, I can almost guarantee the first one's going to be mint, the last one's going to be a little lacking, and there's going to be an amendment in there because of that. The Loom video just gives you a point to pause, take 5 minutes, reflect on what you've designed, and send it across. And it might be perfect, but trust me, as someone who does a lot of Loom videos, the amount of times I've reshot them because I've gone, I should tweak that before I send that across. It's a great little point to stop and pause and
I've
go.
done it with lessons in the academy. When I've been filming a lesson in the academy, I go, fuck, I've missed that out. Because it's funny how the video and you talking about something, hearing it with your own voice and words is like, shit, I've missed something out there. It's a really good point. And I feel like especially for an academy member who's sending looms to the customer, it should be an expectation, really, shouldn't it? I think we should be pushing for this.
And if
for
you're not,
their own benefit as well.
And if you're not comfortable with the Loom videos, here's the perfect opportunity to practice. We are not an end consumer that you've got to be perfect for. If you get through it and drop say, shit, I need to change this, it's not the end of the world. We're not the end user. So it's the perfect practice opportunity for you to gain the confidence with Loom because we know it's a great tool for selling the kitchen as well. So sell it to us. We'll be your first practice point.
It's a really good point.
And then, like going on to that reflection, and it sort of ties hand in hand, is what doesn't help the design service. So over this past spike, we've had a few submissions that have had either blurry photos or plans that just aren't worth working to. And that's really tricky for us. And it's, the designers are really skilled. They can work with a lot of just about anything. I've worked with everything from the scribble on the back of a napkin. Not that I'm suggesting by any means submit a scribble on the back of a napkin, but ultimately, we'll work with it and we'll get to where it needs to be. But when you submit something like that, you're asking for an amendment, which just delays your process out, which means ultimately you get paid less or get paid longer period as a member because it just takes longer for us to churn through it. You want it back in 48 hours. Well, things like that just delay things. And
the thing is with this as well, it messes, and something that I'm hammering a lot at the moment, as I always will, is conversion rate. If your conversion, when we was in the inner circle meeting yesterday, we looked at the impact of, just a 5% difference in margin over the year, a 5% drop or improvement in your conversion rate, what impact that has on the amount of surveys you need to do. Now, if you're being lazy throughout the survey and the sales process, you are going to do more of them because you're going to be forced to do more of them because you're not going to win as many jobs. Because if you're elongating your customer journey in terms of, having to do loads of amendments and the customer's going, well, I didn't, there's miscommunications basically. It just makes it just fucks your conversion rate up. And it's one of the most important figures in your business. Well, probably the most important. So, it's very much intertwined.
We're human. We get it. Sometimes, situations arise and then you can't submit, can't do it. But I just think, get home, 5 minutes looking at a plan and formalizing it, tidying up and taking a good scan or photo of it. Those 5 minutes could save you 1 or 2 amendments. So why is it not worth?
I personally think what people should do, if you're out surveying at night time, is prepare the survey paperwork and, get it all ready for submission, have a sleep, wake up in the morning, give it a 5-minute check over before you send it in the morning.
Yeah.
Because that sleep and that little bit of time can be the difference between, a smooth sales process and a customer that says yes quickly, as opposed to one that drags it out for even longer because they're having backwards and forwards over stuff that you've done wrong.
Yeah, and again, it's trying to highlight that I know it might seem like an extra bit of time here and there, but 5 minutes really will save you 2 days worth of time. If there's an amendment we have to do, or
100%.
a question we have to ask, or whatever, spend the 5 minutes. Spend the 5 minutes, review it, tidy up your quote, do your Loom video. Guess what? That design's coming back perfect because you've clearly shown everything that they need to see. And then that sort of leads straight on to the next point, which is just highlighting something that we've seen recently, obviously to do with those messy plans and everything, is there has been a lot of submissions where it's either coming through as either a couple of layouts or a couple of styles, all for the same space. And I get it. Sometimes you have those tricky customers, right, that just need options. But my advice would always be try and pick one. Just try and nail one layout, one spec, and just say we'll come back to all these layout options when we have our first design meeting. Because ultimately what that customer is signaling to you is they don't know what they want. So you've got to act as their guide to get them to that point. So just go, right, rather than me do you 3 different layouts and 3 different colours in all of those different layouts, let's do one. Let's come back and we can sort of plan out where that space is going to be and then make your tweaks from there. They're signaling that they don't really know what they want. You just need to present something and then have that conversation. Because actually what you'll end up doing is confusing them more when there's 3 options in front of them because they didn't know what they want. And now there's 3 options to pick from what they want. It doesn't really speed up the process. It feels like it will help them. Oftentimes it doesn't. And I'm not saying that's a permanent catch-all for everything, but in general, my experience has been do one design, then have a conversation, rather than have the conversation, then do the designs.
Yeah, and I think something I'd add into that is like the blind leading the blind, isn't it? If you walk into a survey and the customer doesn't know what they want, I wouldn't even be doing a design.
Yeah.
I would be getting the layout agreed first. And, so the way I would, because I've had this before, and I used to say to the customers, look, I can't ask the designer to do 3 designs. Do you know what I mean? We've got to agree a layout. So when you're doing your 2D plan, you shouldn't be having that discussion at design stage. For me, there's a step before design, and that's the layout. That's where you're messing with your 2D plan. That's where you're looking at measurements, what will fit where, what will go where, those discussions and how you're going to use the kitchen. Once you understand that, I think for me, that was always the foundation of the design. I think if you're just throwing, here's the measurements and this is roughly what the customer wants, that's just bullshit because that's not helping anybody that. I think that there's got to be a longer conversation with the customer to say, right, where do you want your dishwasher? Where do you want your washing machine? Where do you want the sink, the oven, and all this? Because them things can be decided. If you go to the point of design and pictures before those things are nailed on, you're asking for it anyway. So I just think it's lack of experience in surveying that, to be honest. I think that, and again, not that I didn't do it that way early on, but later on when I was more comfortable with having that conversation with customers, I would definitely say to them, we need to get the layout sorted first. That's why with bathrooms in the academy and in the trade stuff, like in the lessons we have in the portal and stuff like that, I specifically saying there, don't ever send a customer a 3D image of a bathroom before the quote. And I know with kitchens, it's sort of the accepted norm that you get a 3D render with your quote just because of the rest of the industry does it, but it isn't actually a good idea. You're better off trying to stick with layouts and get that absolutely nailed on before we start doing pretty pictures. Let's get the layout sorted.
Yeah,
because it's just
and
a
I
nightmare.
think that's what you say. It's experience, but also just remember that the customer is really signaling what they need from you when they start acting like this. They need someone to guide them because they don't understand what they're asking for. If they come to you and even if they feel confident, I want this design and this design and this design, that is still signaling to me that they don't know what they want, even if they're picking out a few options. And they just need someone to sort of guide them along and move them through the process and the journey.
Yeah, and you haven't done a good job of that if you walk out of it with 3 fucking designs, have you? You haven't at the end of the day.
And ultimately, it's, these customers, if they are given the free rein, I'm not saying you need to control every job like that, but it will be that way the entire way through.
Yeah.
Experience shows that if they submit 3 options, guess what? They'll want changes to all 3 of those options, and it's going to become a headache not, we'll happily support, but ultimately for the guys, there's going to be a headache for them. They're going to be a pain in the ass customer. You what, sorry?
You're setting yourself up for a job. Because and it's funny when you speak to the guys. I remember myself, any customer that's a pain in the ass throughout the design process is a fucking pain in the ass throughout the job.
Yeah.
Right. They don't suddenly get easier when the job starts.
Mm-hmm.
It gets harder. So again, read the signals there, read the signs.
Yeah.
If I couldn't get a customer in the box and make sure that things were going to get done my way, I would walk away or just politely sort of distance myself from it and let somebody else take that headache. Do you know what I mean? Because it is a sign of things to come. So there's two things at play. Just to summarize: one, you're probably not doing the survey properly. You're not spending enough time choosing a proper layout before you move on to pictures. And even if they insist on having this 3 different things, and you can't seem to get them to think any differently, then that's a red flag, because that just means that when your job starts, that's going to be a trend that continues. And God help you.
Yeah. So it's just that we've seen a few of those. We get it. There are tricky customers out there, but there are tools to navigate these situations. And ultimately, it's more, like we say, just highlighting earlier on that you need to set the expectations of how this journey is going to go. Other than that, everything's good. Like I say, we've had record-breaking submissions, and the majority of those have been great submissions. Again, I don't want people to feel like targeted or anything else by these comments. I'm only just picking on the anomalies, not the majority, because we need to.
Well, it's good for everyone to hear, and I think people who want to improve their business and improve their process will love this stuff, because it is good advice at the end of the day. And somebody might not have walked into it. So this is the thing about things like this: is people that are very good at it might not have had that tricky customer yet.
Mm-hmm.
They might not have had that issue yet, so they might be like, "Oh, it's not happened to me that," but now I know. When it does happen, I'll be able to steer away from it.
Yeah, we've all been there and learned from the experience. Trust me, I've fallen into that pitfall as well. We've all had those nightmare customers, the never-ending jobs. But hopefully we can at least shine a bit of light on it and go, look, here's how I would approach it, at least from my experience, and how it might make your lives a little smoother in the future. But other than that, the only other thing to highlight is just on the operation side, just from Helen and the team, that the quote acceptance forms, just to highlight that when you make a payment, just fill in your quote acceptance form as well. There's a few that have just been dragging along. And it might seem daft. I get it. I have multiple people say, well, I've paid, that's my acceptance of the quote. But the form isn't really about accepting the quote. It's about telling us where the delivery is. Is there any instructions? Is it down a country lane? When do you need it? Double checking the range, etc. I know that feels like a lot of form filling, but there's a reason we have such good right first time. And that's because we have quite a structured process for doing these things. And Helen will chase you up on these, but the sooner you can do both, and the trade portal will pop up and give you the form to fill in. You can just do both. Guess what? It'll be super smooth on that side of the process as well.
Yeah, and I think that, just to reiterate this, it's like, just because it's got the customer's address on it and you've sent money into the bank isn't actually all that helpful. It is a bit like you got a bit of haze going on.
Yeah, you lost me. All right, there we are. We're back.
Right, you're back in the room.
Back in the room. I'm visible again. No, not just blurred me out.
Right.
So we were covering just quote acceptance and obviously the delivery information, etc. So, just making sure that we have all the knowledge of the site and where we're delivering to, etc. is key.
Yeah, because it is just noteworthy to say that, just because we've got the customer's address and we know what we're delivering, just sending the money into the bank doesn't give us anything. Doesn't tell us when you want it, where what sort of wagon to send it on. There's all sorts of this detail missing there. That's like, it's astonishing, really, that people would just assume. But if that's the case, then obviously we need to make sure that these quote acceptance forms are done, don't we? Because
and the team are really good at their job. They'll, from all that information, it seems really basic, but they will make sure that the right, delivery is going to the right place. The right transport, like you say. aware of any, issues that may arise. There's a lot of rural places that we deliver to, and knowing about country lanes, etc. We need to give visibility of all that to the guys, and just ultimately ensure that they're coming through at the same time, because it's just like we've highlighted through a lot of this, another one of the things that's just going to delay the process. So do your payment, fill the form in, boom. Helen's got everything to move everything through, and the rest of the team will be able to nail that for them. Really nice and clean.
Cool. Right. So we've covered quite a bit there, mate. Is there anything else we need to go through before you leave us?
I don't think so. Obviously, maybe if the guys do have any questions, obviously in a couple of weeks, it might be worth firing some messages through. And it might be something that we can blow up into a bigger topic if there is something that they feel like they need help with on the design side or on the order side, etc. It's always good to have focus from the guys to obviously feed in. We'll continue to put through our thoughts, but maybe there's a particular problem that you need some help with. It's always good to have that sort of feedback from them.
Well, if anybody does want to submit a question, they can use the check-ins in the app. So if you go into the app and go to KBB Academy members area, there's a check-in tab there where people can ask like a one-off question.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to stick any sort of questions in there, guys, use that, and then we'll make sure that it makes it onto this stream.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll use them. Obviously, we'll know which stream to answer that question on. Basically, we'll save them up for you. So if anyone has got anything, that's the place to go and do that. Okay, mate. Right.
Perfect.
So that's it. Thanks for joining us, and see you again in about 5 minutes, which will be 2 weeks, but it feel like about 5 minutes.
It does. It flies fast.
Yeah,
right.
It does.
I'll leave you to it. See you
All
later.
right, mate. Take care. Bye. Right, my voice is officially on its way out now, so I'm gonna part ways with you shortly. So check-ins, as I've just mentioned there, make sure you keep your check-ins coming in, Academy members. If you've got any questions, queries about like the design service, stuff like that, you can still use the check-in. We maybe added an extra function on there, like for a design service question or something like that. But just use a single business challenge question, and if it's something that we can use for obviously community content on the stream with on this KBBSS services stream, then we will do, and then we use the normal check-ins on the other obviously academy stream. So yeah, so just remember that you can do the check-ins now in the app. I need to make that clear. So you don't need to sort of go and find it in the academy. You can just do it in the app, okay? So let's say before the next stream, here's a little challenge for you. Get all your costings and outstanding jobs, as I said earlier, and make sure that you are not touching anything without profit in it, okay? You can't afford to keep working for wages this year. You'll have that month where there's a problem and you need the cash. You need some sort of buffer here. And if you want to invest in your business, you want to push things forward, you want to push your life forward, you've got to start making sure that you're not just, it's ridiculous. Kitchen and bathroom fitters and that sort of ilk of tradesperson shouldn't just be working for wages. These multi-billion-pound businesses are like, they're doing it the way you should be doing it, and you can do it exactly the same way. That's what we're about. We came here to be, we didn't come here to be entertained. We came here for change, and I keep saying this year. These streams are good. People enjoy them. People enjoy the events, but please don't look at it as entertainment. This is serious sort of business development time for you to get better at things, to grow, to join this community, and make sure that you are, engaged with it. You're copying the success of people that have done it before. You're not trying to be clever by doing something different and like making your own version of it. That doesn't need to happen when you've got such a proven piece now. Obviously, you've got a Which approved system in the academy to work with and towards gold standard membership if you're going to join or carry on in the academy. This is a massive time to be here now. I can't stress enough just how much of an opportunity this is for you. There'll never be anything like it. We've been saying this for years anyway, but now it is undoubtedly true. Okay, so remember, use your trade portal. That is such an important tool for you now, especially making sure that your businesses are profitable. You're getting proper quotes. The design team are putting things in there directly for you with regards to products. And that's really important. There's so much efficiency there for you. that, you know, people are still not using the trade portal, which is not loads, but there's still people who haven't bothered to try and use it properly. You know, you're missing out here. It's such a simple piece of kit. It's something that you need to get a grip of, okay? Right, we're going to leave it there because my voice is about to stop working completely. It'll be, obviously, the next clinic now, the next Wednesday is the KBB Academy clinic, where I'll be on there with Lee. We'll be doing your check-ins. So get your check-ins in through the app. We've had a few already, ready to go. So make sure you send them in. Any questions, challenges, if you want to do a short question or a longer check-in, it's up to you. We'll answer them all on the stream or off the stream, depending on the sensitivity and the suitability of them. Okay, but let's keep going. We're into getting all towards the end of January now, so we're absolutely, you know, flying. You know, it's not quite the end, but it will be before we know it. By the time the next stream comes around, we're practically at the end of January, which is frightening to think that, you know, yeah, let's not get depressed about how fast it's going. Okay, let's just look forward, keep going. Have a great evening. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.